All right, so we were supposed to have a guest, but there was a miscommunication. So you're going to get a 15-minute ripper today.
Little taste.
Yeah,
Little taste.
A speed pod.
Where's that fucking adapter at?
Wow.
Ben, you're not.
No, we already have to bleep.
Not even ready, and you're giving cuss words out here?
Brianna's going to be so upset.
We're not going to play voicemails with on.
Oh, you just ruined it. Now we have to.
Oh, well, I got to bleep that now.
Now it's just beeps
Jeez,
on.
dude.
Oh, you're
It's supposed to
recording.
be a-
Oh, dude, I wasn't
It's
even
supposed to be a surprise.
Yeah, we're live.
Ben, just do it. Hey, happy Friday, everybody.
Hey, guys.
Hey, when you don't have a job, every day's Friday. Here I am.
Oh, God.
I kind of have a job.
What's today?
Are you guys ready for
I just-
Thanksgiving?
We don't talk about that awful holiday.
I know Jordan doesn't want to talk about the holiday.
That's actually
but,
the only holiday I do like.
Is it?
Are you serious?
Yeah,
Are you
Why?
into it, or you
I
just
love
accept
Thanksgiving.
it? Like you,
Jordan
you
loves
go all in?
Thanksgiving music.
I love Thanksgiving. Actually, there is a national Thanksgiving song that's very good.
Is it because you love the saying
called-
it's giving?
It's called Gravy Boat on a Navy Boat.
That is so.
Is that a real
Already.
song?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's for Bob's Burgers.
What's it about?
What is that?
What?
It was. It's for Bob's Burgers.
All right, so let's talk about drums.
All right. You guys want to start off with a voicemail?
Yeah,
Yes.
let's go with the voicemail.
All right. I don't know how loud this is going to be, but here we go.
Probably too loud.
Hey guys, quick question here. This is Brandon. I think admittedly a lot of drummers would want to hear this question answered from you guys, but yeah, what size shells do you guys prefer? From snares to toms and kick drums. Have you ever ventured off from those sizes and found your way back, or is this
That's a
just
great
something
question.
you've stuck with throughout your whole career? Yeah, I appreciate it.
Hell yeah. Thanks, Brandon.
Yeah, let's go around the room. This has been
Nate used to play a 90-inch long kick drum and a 9-inch rack tom.
How big was
yeah.
that kick drum? How big? For real. I'm not making fun of it. I'm
I am
just
making
curious.
fun
the OG one from like 2005.
Yeah, the OG one.
2005. The first one I wanted, because I literally was like, back then it was all about shock and awe. So I was like, 20. I think the first one was 26 by 26.
Jeez.
Holy moly.
Sorry.
Right.
Sorry about that.
Where is
And then
that
I-
now?
Oh, long
Somebody living in it?
That air doesn't even
overpass.
How does that air even reach the microphone at the
It
other
doesn't.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
It doesn't. So anyway, back then, but literally it was a 20, or maybe it was a 24, 26, and then it was a 14, and then an 18. Like I was just trying to go as big as possible. And I have maintained that I like bigger drums pretty much through my whole career. I have the 26 by 12 or 14 Ludwig. So obviously shallower is going to get a better punch, but I think I'm switching more than ever. Like these last few days I was recording with a 22 and you can't beat it. I mean, it feels so good. It's like the sound is punchy. But the current one I play is a 13. The Pearl that I have is a 13-inch rack, 16-inch floor tom, and then a 24 by 14, I think it is. But I think my next kit, whatever I play, I'm going 22 for sure.
Nice.
Very nice.
I also played a 20
Nice.
in the studio, and a 20 was also sick. And I was like, this might be too small.
The deepest sounding kick sounds I've ever heard, it depends on the player, in the studio were 20-inch kicks.
Yep.
Abe from Deftones exclusively records with a 20-inch kick.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Dude, I just
Wow.
did one like a couple days ago, and the 20 felt and sounded incredible. And I was like, man, was I wrong forever? Yes.
Other than one misguided choice when I got my first CNC kit where I ordered a 24-inch kick, I have played a 22, a 14, and a 16.
A
Forever.
14.
14 rack?
Oh, yeah. I actually,
Wow.
the
Well, that's
14
kinda
rack,
crazy.
the 14-inch rack tom that I had from CNC was deeper than the 18-inch floor tom that I had, auxiliary floor tom.
How
The
deep
to-
was it?
Not deeper in size. I mean, like
Tone.
Oh,
tone.
I see what you're saying.
Tonally was
Sorry.
crazy.
I was like, I thought you meant
you used to have
the
to put
size.
a shitload of tape on the bottom head because it would just go forever.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Totally.
Snare is always a
14.
14 by 6.5.
Usually 24, 22 kick, 13, 16 toms, 14-inch snare drum. I have a new kit being made. It's 12 inches deep, 24.
Oh, so I didn't know. I thought you were 22, Ben.
Oh.
I am a 22. I mean, I've
You
been
look pretty
playing
old for 22.
Oh.
Not looking so hot for 22.
Shot out 22-year-old.
Wow, yeah. No, I usually play 22 lately, but I wanted to
Change it up.
24 again. I want to change it up again, but
Cool.
typically lately, yeah, it's been 22, 13, 16, 14 snare drum.
I was just thinking about. Sorry, go ahead, Reed.
No.
Jordan just
No,
moves on.
How about and moving on?
No,
Next book,
I, I was just making a note for editing later, but I think it'll be funny because this will be the only episode that probably gets 100% listen.
That actually
like the
is
amount of
so
time.
short.
It's so
Hey,
short.
what if we stumbled on something like mini pods where we just put
Yeah.
out 15-minute episodes?
Anyway, Reed.
It's not that important. It's
No,
22
it
keys.
is.
No, dude, come on, man.
No one cares.
Jeez.
Not about my setup. I haven't really changed it over the years. So right now I have a 22 kick, 14 depth, 13 inch rack, and 16 inch floor, and then a 14 inch snare. It's 5.5 inches deep, I think. Yeah, and it's the wood snare that you guys love.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'll tell you. I got to stop saying "I'll tell you" because
No, you don't.
You say
I
that
say
a
it-
lot. Here's one
say it
for
a
you.
lot, and I now know what
stop.
everybody's like go-to phrases are.
Oh, I'm sure.
What's
because of
mine?
the editing. Yours is in my brain.
In
Is
my
it
What's
brain.
really?
mine?
In my brain. That's what you say, Nate.
What's mine?
Awesome.
I do. I
I don't
like
say
it.
awesome a
I
lot.
think everything's awesome.
In my brain. Wow.
I played on a weather EP at Hall of Justice. I played the snare from Super Unknown, a Soundgarden, 15 inch by 8, I think. I think it was 8. Might be 6.5. I'm pretty sure it was 8. Iron Keplinger weighs 1 million pounds. Truly, it might be a 16. Actually,
I got to be honest though, a 16 inch snare.
it's
drum?
a 15. It's a 15.
Yeah,
It's
I was
gotta
gonna
be.
say I don't.
It sounds. I mean, listen to Super Unknown. It sounds great. It doesn't sound so good when I play it, but
Is that the only snare they used on Super Unknown?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Was
I
that,
played.
that Keplinger.
Jordan and I played that same snare.
Yeah, yeah.
Sprinkle had it for a bit.
Yeah, it
Mm.
made its rounds in Seattle.
I don't. This one is this. It's kind of long, but whatever.
What's up, guys? Greetings from Missoula, Montana.
What's up?
I've been wanting to ask this question
Montana.
for a minute, but since Jordan's quitting the podcast, I guess you all forced my hand.
Oh, someone caught that, huh?
I just had a question as far as like what you guys are using for muffling. I know Jordan uses these Remo rings, but I cannot figure out what they are. So I just wanted to ask, what you guys thought of muffling and what
muffling.
do you do for that? And I guess bonus question, if it's possible, what do you guys think of heartbeat cymbals if you listen to them? They're what I play, and I don't know, I just want to be validated. Anyway, talk to you guys later. Thanks.
Fair enough.
I actually have heard a couple sets of heartbeat hi-hats that I was pleasantly surprised by.
I've never even heard of Heartbeat.
I
Neither.
think a lot of churches. It's
Oh,
kind of
got it.
that's kind of their main.
Okay.
Do you use big fat snare, Jordan?
I do not.
Oh.
They are. I have them here somewhere. Sorry, there's piles of shit everywhere.
Oh, I think I know the ones you use.
They're cloth, and they have a metal, like
Yeah.
like what
Does it clip on the? Does it clip on it?
No, I have used those in the past, but the snare weight things. But they, like what a metal coat hanger is made of,
Yeah.
like that thin metal. So it's kind of like that, and it's a heavy canvas that looks like a Remo plastic ring, but it's made of heavy canvas.
Oh,
so
weird.
it sits on the outside of the head, and when you hit it, the canvas pops up and then pops back down, so it only kills the overtone.
Are they
I've never
Roots?
seen
Root,
this.
Roots EQ.
Roots EQ, yes, they
Yeah.
are. Then they have
They're-
the one that's a full cloth. That
Yeah,
goes
they're
over
great.
too.
They're so good.
That's
cool.
of the gear I kept when I sold everything. I kept my hardware and I kept those rings. That's all I
Yeah.
kept because I don't think they make them anymore.
Oh,
The
that's
ones
cool.
that I have, the specific ones, and I'm terrified to never find them again. They had them at Revival for a long time, but they truly
Yeah, they're great.
if anybody saw me play with Copeland and liked like the pillowy tone thing, that's how you get
It's
it.
all
It
that.
doesn't matter what head you put on the drum. That's the sound that you get with those things.
That's
Wow.
cool. Well, in the studio, I've used big fat snare a good amount, and it sounds great. I mean, for that kind of stuff.
The big fat snare thing, I like. Obviously, I like that. I feel like that company is a scam because it's literally just
It's
a
a
drum
head.
head. It's a drum head.
Well, that's what I did.
Just cut the ring off a
This
drum head
week,
and throw it on there.
this week, I literally did that. We took a razor and cut an old head.
Yeah.
Well, I do. There's
And
something.
the pizza slice thing is like an old way of doing it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Take a head, cut a pizza slice out of it, set it on top of it,
Mhm.
and it gives
Yeah.
There's
Where-
new ones that I haven't tried yet that I want to try. They're like a cloth round little.
Yes, I
round-
saw that with a little weight. And it
Yeah, I
comes
forgot the name of them, but apparently they're really good.
I just got an Instagram ad for those. They look cool.
Ben, do you
Yeah.
use any of that stuff live or just recording?
Ben's like, I use a leather wallet filled with receipts, and I just sit around that.
Some
live
of those Instagram videos of dudes just setting their wallet on a snare.
Yeah,
and it gets that tight sound. I'm like, God,
Yeah.
that's so sick.
I know, but it doesn't
It
stay.
is.
It doesn't stay. It doesn't
No,
stay.
I mean you can't do it live.
No. I mean, it's definitely an old school. I live. I mean, I just use moon gels. I don't.
Me too.
Yeah,
I never
really.
experimented.
That's like
experimented much
barely
like you
getting-
guys.
It's like to get rid of like
I like the
Yeah.
Vader dots. It's the moon
Yes,
gel, but
they
it's
are
a
great
dot,
too.
and,
Yes.
but they're heavier than a moon
Yes,
gel.
yeah.
They stand.
Yeah.
I think it's a fine line between muffling and letting the drum do its thing. I mean, I
Yeah.
know it's
I
the application
it.
is a thing, but
within snares. I like a good. I mean, again for Amberlin, I like a good healthy ring. I like that. I know, like for front of house dudes, they struggle with finding that balance. I tend to lean towards more of a ring. I just think it. I don't
Yeah.
know. It sounds like live and
I never experimented much. That's why I think, Jordan, what you did was so cool with Copeland. You just cared so much about the sound of every single.
I agree.
Yeah,
like-
I mean, I'm pretty sure I saw Jimmy Eat World play once where he maybe had a trigger on and was kind of changing the snare sound specific to the record. Maybe I dreamed that, but I wouldn't have gone that far with Copeland, but I actually would use I had different weights of those Roots EQ things that I would use at different times for
Oh,
different
that's cool.
songs.
That's really
Because it was like, I'm not a good enough player to control the velocity that I'm like hitting the tom with, so I need to like add weight to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that was all. I was really trying to step into a John Bucklew skin suit.
No, I feel that.
we
way.
used
did it
to
well.
we used to you put a like a piezo pickup on the actual shell, and it would be triggered by the hit would be triggered by a gate, and the piezo
Piozo.
would open the gate and then close it depending on how
Piazza.
long the gate was open. So
Dude, that's sick. Yo, I will say, I know we can't.
cool,
Can't
yeah,
go-
cool guys. All right, anyways,
We can't go one episode without saying Jimmy World or when
Yeah.
we were young, and I hate
Yeah.
to do this again.
Yeah.
But I will say when this happens, dude, his live playing and the sound, Zach,
Oh,
Jimmy World, it was flawless. I truly was like, yo, it whatever. And I want to ask him like tech or how much is him, because sometimes it's a mix or whatever. But dude, and obviously front of house, it all is a thing. But it was so dialed that it was like again just next level impressive.
well, it's crazy. So Jeremy from Q, he teched for Muse, and their stuff was so dialed song to song in Ableton to where gates and like sounds and all this other stuff would happen within the song. It would be triggered by Ableton on the kit. So even acoustic sounds would be manipulated by Ableton. And
yeah, we did that. I did that with
I think that's crazy.
Copeland with some vocal effects where it was just in the time code and it would trigger a specific.
Yeah.
That's how all the dudes do their guitar switches.
I mean, I saw Muse play live at Key Arena in Seattle one time, and we had, I don't know how I got them, but we got guest spots, my friend Chris and I, and they put us. It was the arenas. They weren't playing in the round; they were at one end, but the seats for guests were kind of behind the stage, but up really high, and I could see the techs under the stage, like because they didn't have pedals or anything. They're like kind of triggered.
yeah.
And man, what a job! Like
Crazy job.
because I think that was before Kemper and all that stuff had come out, so they were doing it all manually, and we were watching them like run around and like
That I remember before Kemper, because that's what we use now, and everything switches MIDI. Like verse, they don't touch a pedal. But I remember, I forget what band it was, but we were side stage. It was a band we were on tour with, a bigger band, and the tech was literally stomping and swishing everything for him. And I was like, dude, that dude better be getting paid, because that was like and switching guitars and coming back, and it was like
probably to the point where those techs could probably sit in if they needed to. Like
100%.
guitar player got
Probably.
sick, they could probably do it.
You ever like you're on tour with a band and a tech gets up and starts playing, and you're like, are you better than the?
oh, that's usually the case.
Like when I went to see Sun the other night, their
so sick.
techs,
Talk about that. Yeah, I want you to talk about that.
dude. First of all, amazing that it was at Lincoln Center, because that's
So
the
cool.
people that have played that place are like,
Yeah.
How big is that room?
the ceiling. It's acoustically tin, so it's like the whole thing. But it may be with the balcony, maybe seats 1,000.
That's so cool.
I mean, it's a theater in the truest sense of the word. Their techs came out to just test, and just stage volume, when they turned it on, people were cheering. we were in the back and I could feel just stage volume. They weren't even using the PA, just tuning and testing. And it was the heaviest tone I've ever heard in my life. Like,
dang,
it was cool because, I mean, they similar, I think, to Charlie XCX, which is, you know, funny that she's used that one remix that she did has like a Sun guitar.
Yeah.
track
Oh,
on
with
it.
the Perfume Genius.
Yeah. The visual side of it is always amazing. I mean, it's definitely music and there are riffs, but it's an experiential piece of art that they're doing.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
That's cool.
They had these 3 lights that were on poles that were circles, but in the middle it had a fan and the light array was on the outside. They were maybe this big.
So it looked like an old like warehouse almost. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
like
but they were small. They were small.
Oh, that's
like
cool.
It looked like, I mean, they were maybe like 14 inches around, and they were on straight single black poles. And so when it would start to light up, it would be like a laser, like doing this, but the fan in the middle would draw the fog up, and you could see the fog like dancing above them.
Dude, that's
and so they start the show because it's like the druid thing or whatever.
Yeah,
and they come out and they hit a note. And he takes his guitar off and he holds it up like this, and the other guy like opens his hands like this.
Dude, was it just
the middle thing lights up?
It's a worship, man.
And it starts pulling, and it looks like a church window.
Whoa,
like,
crazy.
Like a rose window. It comes up like this. And then he raises his hands and he puts his guitar down, and then they go, and
were you just losing your
Brianna
mind?
goes, oh, like, dude, the way you feel, but it's
just,
I've only ever seen 2 bands ever where I didn't want to leave early, where I felt drawn back into the room.
Yeah.
And they're one of them. There's literally medical people, because people pass out. I mean, you lose, like sitting, that show is sitting down. So it's a little different. But when I've seen them standing up, if you're really in it and you're in the middle of the fog, you sort of lose an understanding of where you are in the room. Like
because the low notes too, just like
it's you're constantly like your organs are being rearranged, and you can't see in front of you. You can't see.
Yeah. Are they on tour? Are they on tour right now or no?
No, that was the last show.
I was gonna say.
And the it's hard to see them in the U.S. They just don't ever really play in the States anymore. But
the videos and stuff you sent was insane.
Yeah, it's like it's performance art. At
it's
that
a whole
point.
other thing.
Yeah,
Jordan, what was the other band you said you didn't want to leave?
I saw Coalesce play.
Sick.
Oh, that's cool.
And I had to leave. I watched like 4 songs and I had to leave, and I kept going back in the venue. I would leave and then go back in because I was like, I can't. It was so intense, and he's singing into a megaphone, and Jess, the guitar player, is just like big beard, shaved head, white t-shirt. He's rail thin, and he's playing these insane riffs, and he would just walk off the front of the stage, standing on people's shoulders, just walking across the crowd on top, not laying down, just walking. And he had this crazy look on his face, and he's not missing a note.
Yeah.
It was just so impressive. And when you see bands like this, especially guys that are that age, I feel like that way about Converge too. You go see a Converge show, those guys are pushing, some of them are over 50 probably. And they are more pissed off, tighter than any band in their 20s.
Yeah, for sure.
And when you see those bands, it's so rare that those bands.
And it's like a rawness still that I think that older side brings. You know what I mean? Like there is this new thing with that where it's like we got to be perfect with Ableton and
sure.
There is no technology on stage, no click. I've never gone on stage and given 100% of myself, and I know that now after seeing them play. You're just sort of like,
you're like, that's what that looks like.
They don't have an ounce of sweat left in them.
Do you guys do you miss that at all when you go to a show where like everything is, I feel like, so perfect now? Like I miss, sometimes I do miss the chaos of there's bands that are still doing that, I think, for sure. And I think it just depends on what bands. Like younger bands, I do think like not all younger bands, but a show, it wasn't insanely heavy, but there's shows that stick out in my brain where it feels that way, where I'm like, yo, I don't want to leave this. I saw Broncho in Tampa, outside venue. It was at New World, which is a pizza spot, not a stage. They're on the floor, and it was slammed, right? I mean, probably like 200 people. We were all packed in there. Dude, I will remember it forever. It sounded insane. It was just, it was just one of those shows. It was over, and I was so bummed. I was like, they could play for another hour, and I would still probably want more. Like Angela and I both were just like, this is what. Like, it was also rare. It was cold. It was like in November, so we were like in jackets because it was outside. And dude, just one of those shows. I was like, I'll never forget it. I mean, I like when it's unhinged. I like to go to a show, and it's like it's an experience. It's sort of like you go and you're like, oh, this sort of sounds like the album. I want it to be like a little chaotic, a little different. Like
there's a stride for perfection right now that is very just.
Because I would that band Weed. I don't know. You guys know Weed? I'm sure. Yeah. So I saw them in a warehouse in the middle of nowhere in like I think Kansas, and they drove from Vancouver. Had to borrow gear. None of their gear was there. The entire show was out of tune. Every instrument was out of tune, and it was still incredible. I was like, this is so
awesome.
good. Yeah. And I was like, why is this good? And I was like, it doesn't matter. It's just good.
I mean, I've seen LCD Sound System twice, and they're using modular synths and stuff in a way that you're like, it really does feel unpredictable. Like,
it is unpredictable. It is
it's unpredictable, you know.
Yeah.
I always hear I never saw a Dismemberment Plan, but there's like stories of,
I'm sure,
you know, they used crazy shit, and they're playing houses, and it would just be like
a mess. The last time I felt that seeing a show, Nate, you were there. It was Delta Spirit in Orlando. I just thought that was the energy was insane.
Dude, that show was crazy.
Yeah, that's the last time I saw one. Yeah,
he got into the crowd. Everything seemed off the cuff. Nothing was planned. They were just ripping. It was like rock and roll, dude. That was
it was.
So. And it was weird because they're the homies. So I was like, this is weird. Like, it's weird to like be like, y'all are doing it. Like, I think I talked about this like probably 10 episodes ago, where I was like, that was a band that I was like, oh, y'all got out of the scene and did something cool, and it's actually cool.
Yeah,
it wasn't contrived. It wasn't like forced.
Great band.
I was going to say, speaking of, I got one. You see, Knocked Loose is playing late night soon, and everyone's making a big about it. But hasn't hardcore bands played late night? I mean,
I mean, not that heavy.
Dillinger played late night, and they're gnarly.
That was a crazy. I remember that. I do remember that. All right, homies. Well, that was a fun little. This was a fun little quick app.
Quepisode.
Hey, all right.
It was a Quepisode.
A Quepisode. Cool. Hey,
should we say what this should have been? No, it doesn't matter.
No, because
we're trying to make it happen.
Hey, do me a favor. Do me a favor. Have a great day.